as for people that are close to me, no one's ever said anything to me, but of course on the internet, you can never please the internet. It's the ring's too small, but then if he would have got me a big ring, it would have been too big. I would have been a gold digger. It's just, you can never win, So there's definitely some negative response, but not from anyone close to me, no.
But I'm glad you talked about the ring, because I purposely chose the smallest ring I could find.
Like, I'm tiny. Like, I'm 5'0".
You want to show?
Yeah.
Like
look
at how tiny it is. Like,
okay,
it's very delicate,
and it's also very affordable by the normal average American salary standard. So, but that's the whole point. I mean, it's not to put a big ring on somebody's finger. It is to really celebrate and represent our love. That's what it's for.
So,
and Dana, like you mentioned, like the internet, like, again, Brandon, like you've been used to this, when your site came out, they called it this, they called like, did you always have this attitude, like, or did you go down that rabbit hole, Dana, like, because you weren't used to it, like Brandon was, of like, this person saying this about me, this, you can feed into that, or did you just block it all out? Like, did it take you a while to get there?
So that's actually really interesting, because this is really recent, right? Like, we had 2 like tabloids and articles come out in particular that blew up. I mean, like, it
on
had
Snapchat,
on
right?
Snapchat, like, it was like on YouTube, it was everywhere, and people, like, there was a lot of people that were viewing it, and so, like, yeah, a lot of people had stuff to say. As for the people online, I kind of just block it off. There was a few people that were close to me, like, more in my career, that were just like, what are you doing? But at the same time, I was like, well, work life and my personal life, it's separate. It doesn't interfere with the end product that I give you for my work, right? So I think I handled that as well as I could have. But as for like the people just online, yeah, I blocked it out. I really didn't care, right? Like, these people are so bold online. They will say anything, but like I said, not one person. We've seen hundreds of thousands of people and no one's ever said anything, which just shows that, like, yeah, like, online people will say stuff, but I just block it out. Like, it's just not even worth my energy to look at it, because it's not benefiting me in any way.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
It takes people years to get there sometimes.
Yeah. It's definitely, you feel pressure for sure. Like, oh shit, like, is everyone like looking, like, what's going on? So yeah, it's definitely something, it's a different feeling, like, that I really hadn't experienced before.
What about, you look at like couples, like I just point to this because I think it's one of the most obvious, like Erika, Jayne, and Tom Girardi. Like, she was 27 when she met him, now there's this thing, and they're divorcing and all this. And just because he's like, what do you think? I mean, there's a big age difference there.
I mean, in a sense, I was him, back then. I was cheating on my wife, so that's the reason for the divorce. That was the reason for mine. So I'm very empathetic, because I've been there. So I know why I was there. And so I can understand why he was there, or why she is in the position she is in today. Yeah. But I hope that they move on from there, they learn your lessons, and I hope that they find happiness, because it is out there.
I mean, I don't think that situation really has much to do. I mean, people will be quick to point at age for that specific like couple, but like, cheating happens all the time, regardless of age difference, right? That people just like to put attention on that, because it's like, oh, whatever, what is 63 or something?
Yeah, that's probably
27, like 63, 27, yeah, right? So like, and same with our relationship. When everything came out, I mean, it was our age that was being highlighted. It was the age and the like waiving the right to divorce. Like, that's what people like to see. So it just gets a little bit more attention because of that age gap.
Right, the age gap. What about when you look at? Because listen, I mean, can you tell when you look at couples where, say, there either is an age gap, or just not even that, like just a huge financial disparity, a huge like financial difference? Can you tell, like, look, these two just aren't happy? I mean, you know, like
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's you
Yeah.
guys, you're that, but can you tell like this person's in it for the money? And I mean, is
Yeah.
that ever
Definitely.
sustainable? Because I don't think it's
Yeah.
sustainable, right? Like,
No,
No.
no, like definitely. Like when we're walking, we have this thing where like if we see someone else with an age gap, like, you know, like we just kind of observe them because we're like, this is like if they don't connect and you can tell, that's where the stigma gets, you know, formed. It's like age gap, like no way, they're not gonna get along, like they're not even touching each other, but you could just tell, right? Like when
It's
you're
almost like there are two different vibes and they're trying to kind of mix
yeah,
and they
yeah.
just don't
One
mix.
wants one thing, you know, one wants attention from a girl, the other one wants money or bags or whatever.
It's
You can
like
just
oil and
tell.
water, you know, you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tell. Yeah.
yeah. So in cases for that, no, I don't think if people are in it for something that is selfish, it will never last. It will never last.
I agree. I mean, it sounds fine. You know, you might get a bunch of stuff for 3 months, 6 months, even
Yeah.
a year, but then eventually you're miserable and you're like, I can't
Yeah.
live this life.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
What about, you know, you look at like Madonna, who's now 63, like her boyfriend is, you know, in his 20s. He was a dancer on her last tour, the Madame X tour. Like, why, you know, and now it's like that's a stigma. Like people look at Instagram, look at Madonna, act your age. Like, why do you think there's still that stigma when it's like an older woman with like a younger man?
I like that. I think
I
that's
like
power.
that
I think it's a
too.
power move, right? It's like
Yeah.
not caring what others think. I've actually never seen that couple interact, but like I like the idea of it. I don't know, it's different, right? Like so social norms are so like tunnel vision, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah.
For me, it's the connection that matters. And it doesn't matter who's older, who's younger. It can be the other way around, any way around. A fact is my sister dates younger guys
Yeah.
and she loves it.
Yeah.
And she thinks younger guys are more fun because that fits her vibe because she's fun and she's young. So I would call her young at heart.
Yeah,
And so
some guys are like cougars, right?
yeah,
Like
so it's great.
yeah. If they vibe for the right reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about when you look at someone like a Scott Disick, like, you know, from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, like he's dating, you know, he dates Amelia Gray, Lisa Rinna's right. So he's 35, she's 20. Then he dates like Sophia Richie first, like she's 19 or the opposite. So, and he's out parading it around. It's always on Instagram. Like, can that ever be real when someone's like putting it all out there for the world, like every move they make?
I think it depends. I mean, Brandon can answer this how he wants, but I think it depends on like how they're doing it. If they're like, you know, just natural raw like image of that girl and he's just like, I really love this girl, you know, like I would say that's very different, right? But like I mean, I'm not gonna say anything on Scott Disick just because like they're in their own situation, but like I definitely think that there is like first of all, like just naturally, I think a lot of guys tend to go for younger girls, right? Even like Leonardo DiCaprio, like all of his girlfriends are in their 20s.